Hello there, Michael DeVersa here again, and today I've got Shannon Nuzbach on the hot seat in the employee spotlight. Shannon is our first ever Director of Marketing for Diaz Group, and beyond that, she's a very interesting person, as you're about to find out. Shannon, let's start with the easy one. You've never worked in professional grounds management before. We spend the warm months creating and maintaining green spaces. We manage snow and ice events in the cold weather seasons. How does any of this compare with the places you've worked at before?
Well, I think in order to answer this question fairly, it's helpful if I share a little bit more about my professional background and experience. So when I was with the Blue Book of Building and Construction Network, I worked in commercial construction for a number of years. And it was more than just bringing people into my network to be a part of that, but it was about connecting people, making introductions, facilitating relationships between buyers and sellers in commercial construction. So I was able to interact with all facets of commercial construction, everything that goes into a building, the exterior of the building, the interior, the suppliers, the rental company providers. So I learned quite a bit about not just those businesses and those trades, subcontractors, general contractors, and the whole circular business of what commercial construction is. But I really learned about the business of people and building relationships and finding out the why behind why somebody chose, concrete, or why they chose demo, and what they needed in order to continue to build a successful business. And it was about understanding where they've been, where they are, what their goals are, and also understanding the people behind the business. I would ask so many different questions. I'm curious by nature. So I would ask so many questions about how did you get into this business? What motivated you and interested you in whatever trade you specialize in? And the answers I would get were so much more than just, well, I like pouring concrete, or I like working with soil, or whatever it was. There was a real story there, and I think that's important to remember in all facets of life, is that we all have a story. And many of those relationships that I built, I still have today as dear friendships. I know their families. They'll still call on me for even marketing advice or sales advice, or, hey, do you still have contact with that one general contractor in the city? Like, can you still make that introduction? So I think regardless of what industry or what trade that we end up landing in, it is important to understand the seasonality of it all, how the business runs and how it ticks. But it's more important to me is to understand the people behind the business and how to, continue to make those relationships grow.
Awesome. I don't think I've ever heard anybody make concrete sound so interesting. So, now it really gets interesting. You've got a rather unusual side gig that we should talk about. I'm curious to know how, when, where you became a professional singer.
Yes, so I grew up in a very small town in West Central Illinois. And, notably for small towns is country music, right? Everyone kind of jokes about that. But I was exposed to all genres of music. I had an older brother who loved, rock and roll and hair metal. My dad loved old school Johnny Cash. And I was exposed to all of those as a kid. And I loved music. I loved how it made me feel. I loved how it would just evoke emotion in everyone around me. And I would say one of the most notable moments in my life when I decided that I wanted to become a professional singer and perform was when we were riding in the car to go visit family, and my dad put in a cassette, I date myself here, a cassette of Patsy Kline. And he played Patsy Kline's Crazy. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, I want to do that. Like, that is what I want to do. And not just sing like her, but evoke the emotion that I was feeling and listening to her voice, and how she just like drawled through all of those notes and the lyrics. And it was just like, oh, I want to evoke that in someone else. And so I am a part of an acoustic duo, and we play, all around the Chicagoland area. We play a lot of our, favorites. It's all acoustic, and it's just something that it's in me. I have to do it. I have to do it to exist. And so,
from looking at you, I can tell you enjoy it very much.
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, the holidays are nearly upon us, and in just a matter of weeks, people are going to be making New Year's resolutions and buying an annual gym membership and spending about 8 weeks there. You've got a slightly different twist on that, don't you?
I do,
Tell
yes.
us about it.
So, you know, in years past, like New Year's Eve comes and it goes, and we all think, oh, I'm going to change this about myself, or I'm going to make this list of all these things I have to fix, you know, and we never really stick with it. I mean, maybe some people do, God bless if you do, but I would always kind of get off track and, you know, I don't know, just kind of forget about it or lose that list of things I got to work on. And instead, a few years ago, I decided to make a life experience list. So I stopped trying to just fix things, but I started to consider living more of life and living it more fully. And so I created a life experience list of all the things that I wanted to do and experience, and, you know, taste, whether it was a restaurant or, you know, meet up with an old friend. And I created this list of things that I wanted to do for that year. And I didn't check off every box, but I checked off quite a few. And, you know, some of those included like taking my dad to a, you know, a cooking class together. And it was like, once I had that down of all these things I wanted to experience, it was like, why haven't I done this sooner? So now every New Year's Eve, you know, I create this list of life experiences that I want to do and the people that I want to share them with. And it's just helped to enrich my life. And I've shared this story with many other people, and it's motivated them to do the same. So that's something that we preach in our household, is life experience as opposed to just having things.
That's awesome. And I'll bet you've done more things as a result just from having tried that. Well, thank you very much for spending this time with me. And folks, Shannon Nuzbach.